Welcome. I'm Bill Downs, your host, and you're listening to Avid's Voice of the Victims podcast, episode 3. April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month. I will be discussing distracted driving all this month, the dangers and impact that distracted driving has on victims and their families, and we will discuss the statistics on distracted driving. We also have a special guest with us today as well, and she will give testimony of the impact the impaired and distracted driving has had on her life. Every day, at least 9 Americans die and over 100 are injured in distracted driving crashes. Cell phones, dashboard touchscreens, voice commands, and other in-vehicle technologies pose a threat to our society. The consequences of those distractions are not worth the convenience they offer. Ignore the distractions and just drive to keep us all safer on the roads. Distracted Driving Awareness Month in April is a united effort to recognize the dangers of and eliminate preventable deaths from distracted driving. More than 40,000 people were killed in motor vehicle fatalities in 2018. From cell phones to dashboard infotainment systems to involving voice command features, all pose a threat to our safety. Just 1 second of your attention is all it takes to change a life forever. 94% of crashes are caused by driver error. Therefore, nearly all the crashes that happen on our roadways are 100% preventable. Distraction leads to driver error. 7% of all drivers at any given time are using their phones while driving. A National Highway Traffic Safety Association survey finds that 660,000 drivers use cell phones or manipulating electronic devices while driving at any given daylight moment. Can you imagine that? 660,000 drivers are messing with their phones or some other type of electronic device while they're driving during the daylight hours. That's just daylight hours, and that's just those that are reported. So it's merely an estimate. Drivers talking on phones, handheld or hands-free, miss seeing up to 50% of what is around them, like other drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Before you start your car, turn off your phone and just drive. Car crashes are the #1 cause of workplace deaths, with distracted driving as a leading factor in road fatalities. Fortunately, more employers are recognizing the hazardous expectation of always being connected, and they are doing something about it. Dozens of Fortune 500 companies have adopted cell phone policies, banning the use of phones while driving. By eliminating this deadly distraction, employers are keeping their workforce safer. Now, I used to work for Gulfport City Schools in Gulfport, Mississippi, and I was a maintenance tech, and that's one of the things that our school banned. If you were in a government vehicle or a city vehicle, you could not be using your phone. And if you're caught, you could be fined, or worse, you could be fired. An article that was posted in Car Accidents Personal Injury on August 31st, 2018 states that it's no secret that texting and driving is a safety problem. As updated car accident statistics continue to roll in, this problem becomes more apparent. It's clear that thousands of people have died or suffered a life forever changed because of distracted drivers using their cell phones behind the wheel. Texting and driving absorb a driver's visual, manual, and cognitive attention, creating the deadliest type of distraction on the road. Seeing the statistics on this dangerous habit can put it into perspective. Here are some of the latest numbers available for 2018. And you can find this in the Teen Safe 100 Distracted Facts and Statistics for 2018 highlights. Some of those are: in 2015, distracted driving crashes caused 391,000 injuries and 3,477 deaths. About 1/4 of all car accident deaths stem from distracted driving. Now, you hear people saying accidents, and if you are a victim of a impaired or distracted driving crash, you will never hear them say accident. Or let me rephrase that. You will never hear me say accident. I do not call a preventable crash an accident. And if I hear a fellow victim call it an accident, I usually will very politely and very optimistically tell them, we don't call that an accident. It's a crash. Distracted driving causes more than 58% of all teen car crashes. Distracted driving, car accidents are the main cause of death for teenagers in the United States. Teenagers have been the most prominent age group to report distracted driving at the time of fatal accidents. Compared to all other age groups, teens from the ages of 16 to 19 are 3 times more likely to get into fatal car crashes. Around 660,000 drivers use their cell phone while driving through daylight hours. Now there's that statistic again. We just heard that from somebody else. Texting and driving are 6 times more likely to cause an accident than drunk driving. Every day, 11 teenagers die from texting and driving crashes. Texting and driving increase the risk of an accident by about 23 times. Cell phone use Cell phone use is behind only drivers being lost in thought and causing the most distracted driving accidents. About 25% of teenagers admit to answering texts once or more every time they drive. Studies have proven that teens who text and drive veer out of their lanes around 10% of their total drive time. And how many times have you been driving down the highway and see somebody veer into your lane or into another lane? Makes you stop and think. On top of these statistics, Teen Safe reports an unsettling number of drivers to believe they can safely multitask behind the wheel. 77% of adults and 55% of teenagers say they can easily manage texting and driving. Only 20% of teens believe texting impacts how well they drive. These numbers show a frightening indifference to texting and driving and an attitude that has likely contributed to the increasing numbers of traffic crashes, injuries, and deaths due to distracted driving over the years. Many organizations, including the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, have been documenting facts and data on distracted driving for years. The NHTSA finds that texting is the most dangerous and alarming distraction on the road. Did you hear that? Let me repeat that. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has found that texting is the most dangerous and alarming distraction on the road. According to the NHTSA, reading a text while driving at 55 miles per hour takes one's eyes off the road the equivalent amount of time as driving across a football field blindfolded. The NHTSA identified the three types of driver distraction. The National Safety Council estimates that cell phone use while driving causes about 1.5 million car crashes in 2017. The council also says that many people fail to report these accidents because most drivers are guilty of texting and driving and don't want to admit their actions. This explains why many statistics are only ballpark figures, such as the Department of Transportation's estimate that cell phone use kills 3,000 to 6,000 people per year. The National Safety Council doesn't believe any type of cell phone use behind the wheel is safe, even hands-free. So basically, do like I do. Put your phone in the glove box. There is nothing so important that you can't take care of after you stop your vehicle. My phone is always set up so as soon as my truck cranks, it sends a message to anybody that would be texting me saying, hey, I can't come to the phone right now because I'm driving. I lost 3 kids to an impaired and distracted driver already. I don't want my wife, or my daughter to have to deal with my death as well. So when you're out there, I hope you remember this show tonight. And as we listen to Linda, take what she says to heart and know that impaired and distracted driving is not safe, it's not morally right, and it could take your life. That being said, today our special guest is Linda Paulson. Linda is a member of Avid and a moderator of our 4 support groups on Facebook. Linda is a victim due to an impaired driver that not only injured herself, but took the lives of her husband and 2 sons. Her husband Bob was 39 at the time, and her boys were 10 and 8. Welcome to the show, Linda. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm living in Tucson, Arizona, but the crash happened in Yellville, Arkansas. And it happened on July 12th of 2003.
Okay. And, yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself as far as, where you live and your just some general information about yourself.
Well, I was, before that I was pretty much a, happy-go-lucky person around people and stuff, but ever since then I kind of stay away from people, and I kind of stay away from situations that put me around people. I try to make excuses not to be around people, and because I hate who I am today. When my kids left, they took a big piece of me, and it was a huge hole in my world, and I still have a hard time with that. I don't know,
Yeah. Well, now you said that you were injured in the crash as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your injuries?
Yeah, I had numerous injuries. I had a broken femur, and I had a broken hip. I had a lot of damaged vertebrae, and they had to take my spleen out, and I had collapsed lungs, and I learned to walk all over again at 40, and that was kind of hard to do. I just, I was in a coma for a little bit, so, I didn't get to see my kids being buried or anything. I didn't get to go to the funeral or anything, So I think maybe that kind of adds to my missing them and to my grief and all that.
Yeah. Well, how has this tragic event changed your life?
I mean, I hate who I am today. I'm just not the person that I was before, and I just think that I've made a lot of impact here, but I think that I guess I would be at my end. I don't know because I don't know sometimes what to do. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know how to, you know, I just don't know. Sometimes I just don't know how to go on, you know, and that's basically, you know, the bottom line of it, you know.
Yeah. Well, Linda, what about the offender? Was he convicted in court?
Yeah, he was. The problem with that is that it was his car, but he let someone else drive it. So, and the driver that did die. So, in the eyes of the law, he wasn't as guilty as I think he should have been, because he was been drinking with him all night long and handed the keys over to him, and then knowing that, you know, how drunk he was. And so he was charged with 4 counts of negligent homicide. Last time I looked, homicide and murder, you know, basically. And he did 10 months in county jail, and that was it, you know. And so that's kind of a slap in the face to me, you know. He showed no remorse. He smiled in court. And he just seemed to be, you know, just going to go on with his life, you know. After he ruined mine, you know, he put a hurting on mine.
Yeah. So the actual driver of the vehicle was killed, and the owner of the vehicle was a passenger.
Right.
And they both had been drinking and were intoxicated.
Very intoxicated. They were 3.5 times the legal limit. They lived in Dry County. They were going to White County to get more alcohol on a Saturday morning at like 11 a.m. Yeah.
See, that's one thing I don't understand, you know, because even though he was a passenger, he was still responsible for what happens with that car.
Exactly, because he handed over the keys to him. So in my eyes, he was just guilty, but in the eyes of law, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
So there you go, you know.
And you said that in the court, did he show any remorse, or?
He showed none. He sat there and had his new wife, and he had babies, and he smiled. And when I was doing my victim impact statement, you know, he looked right straight at me, you know, and didn't. He just kept that smile on his face, didn't show anything, you know. Yeah, so, yeah, that's, you know, after he put a hurting on my life, and I have to suffer the consequences of his actions, actually, by the way of not having my kids, you know. You know, those kids were my world, you know. So I guess when you lose them, you don't know what to do, you know.
So tell me a little bit what you do for Avid.
I like to, I know I do the birthdays and anniversaries, and I do like to talk to some of the girls, you know, and I always tell them the message away, because I've been there, I've done that, you know. And I to be honest with you, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anyone, because it's going to hurt for a while, you know, especially the newer ones that are just new, that's fresh to them, you know. Because I don't want them to, you know, because people didn't sugarcoat it for me, they told me the way it was going to be, you know. And I always thought they would sugarcoat it, but they didn't, you know. And I'm glad that they didn't, because I needed to hear that. You know, I needed to hear that it was going to hurt, you know. Yeah. And so if I could maybe take away their hurt, or not take away their hurt, but help them get through that, so, and maybe not do as I did, and always, you know, try to, you know, I tried to lift myself up, I couldn't always do that, but, and if they could do that, maybe, I think it makes it a little bit easier, you know, not that it's going to take everything away, but it's going to make it a little bit easier, you know, if you know that maybe the next birthday, or, you know, the angel date, it's going to hurt, you know, and it should hurt, just because it's going to hurt, you know, and it's kids, you know. And so I try to be there for all of them. I always tell them, all of them, I'm just a message away, you know, and I enjoy doing that, and I think that's good for me, you know. I think that, because I always made a pact to myself that I would be my kid's voice until my last breath, and that's what I will do, you know. Just because someone has to be their voice, you know.
Exactly.
Because obviously the justice system doesn't always do that, you know.
Okay, now, the crash that took your loved ones, did that happen where you're at now, or was that in another
state? No, it happened in Arkansas, and I'm in Arizona, so, you know, they were kind of they're still kind of lax on their law there, you know, as far as drunk driving, because I've known people there that have had 10, 12 DUIs, and they're still driving, you know. Luckily, they haven't killed anyone so far, but it will eventually happen, and I hate to see that, you know, but the troopers that worked the accident said that was the worst crash they had ever seen. It was headlight to headlight. They were going 60 and we were going 60. And, you know, and they had hit someone before they hit us. They hit some guy pulling a trailer, but then they regained and came back on the road, you know. And my husband had been a truck driver, and he had logged over 200,000 miles and never had an accident ever, you know, and that was his first one. And they killed him, you know.
Now, were you a passenger or were you driving?
So I was a passenger, I was on with our dog. It also killed our dog. We were just going on a family picnic, and it was like 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Mm. Yeah, I can't even imagine.
So my 10-year-old, he had lived, for a little bit. They were flying by helicopter, but he died en route, And it's just, when to wake up and have them tell you that, oh, your kids are dead and so is your husband, you don't understand that, I always thought my 10-year-old was still alive, I don't know what made me think that, but I did, because, I just remember, I don't remember anything about the crash, but I remember talking to, we had stopped and got gas and got the kids a treat and stuff like that, and that was the last that I can remember. And, I do have a lot of good memories of them, but sometimes those are the ones that hurt the most.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So, would you say that you have found any type of closure?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that question. I think I found closure because I forgave the driver for me, not for him, but for me. But I don't know that you're ever going to get full closure with losing children. I don't think. Right. I don't think I'll ever get that.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's possible. When you lose children like that, just because. And I got a little bit by way of forgiving him, but just for me, not for him. But I get taking me a little bit of closure, but I don't think I'm ever going to find the closure that I think I should get, or full closure. I don't think any of us that have lost kids can do that.
Right. So
maybe some people can. I think it just depends on the person also.
Exactly. Now, you said this happened in Arkansas. So,
right.
Were y'all living in Arkansas at the time?
Yeah, we were living in Arkansas. We had just been there, we moved there in February and the crash happened in July. So, and my in-laws had lived there at the time. So we had just been kind of new there, and I always said to myself, I wish I wouldn't have moved there, because that would have never happened, But you don't know, you don't know that, Because if I didn't move there, I still have my kids today, most likely,
Right. And when did you move to Arizona?
I moved to Arizona in 2014 because my dad was dying, and I was able to help my mom and stuff, and my dad did die in 2015, so I ended up staying here for my mom, So, because I think I owe her that, because when we had the crash, they lived in Arizona at the time, and they came and to stay with me for months on end to take care of me and stuff. And my dad at the time had found out he had throat cancer, so they did a lot for me. So I think I owe that to her,
Mm-hmm.
To kind of return that favor. They did a lot for me. They paid my rent and stuff, and they took care of me, and they paid for the funeral for my kids and stuff like that. So I owe that to her. So I'm here for her pretty much, and I go see her every now. I go see her a few times a month and stuff. So and she really appreciates that. And, she's basically who is who I have as far as family goes. And she's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, Linda, I appreciate you being with us today, and I appreciate everything that you do for Avid on Facebook, and
you're welcome.
The support that you give your fellow members can't be described by comparison to what you have lived through.
All right.
And you are truly a blessing to Avid.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. You guys are a blessing to me as well. You guys are, look up to you guys here, Because you've been there.
Yeah. Well, that being said, I'm afraid we're out of time. If anyone listening would like to sign the Avid pledge not to drive impaired and distracted, you can go to Avid's website at avidd'spodcast and click on the Avid's pledge in the taskbar, and it will take you to the pledge. Join us next week for episode 4 of Avid's Voice of the Victims podcast, when we will have another special guest. I'm Bill Downs, your host. Keep your eyes on the road and arrive alive.